Hi, everybody. My glasses are shining, so I guess maybe we'll have to take them down a little bit. You're going to have to see some shining. Thought I'd have a little story time. Some Parker Palmer, Let Your Life Speak. He's one of my favorite theologians. And I have to be honest, there was a huge impact for me for Quaker. And the Quaker tradition really formed the United States in many ways in a positive direction in its early days. And I think some of this is really important. It's before bed, so it's a bedtime story this evening. I was disappointed in myself for not being tough enough to take the flak, disappointed and ashamed. But as pilgrims must discover, if they are to complete their quest, we are led to truth by our weaknesses as well as our strengths. I needed to leave the community organizing for a reason. I might never have acknowledged had I not been thin skinned and burned out. As an organizer, I was trying to take people to a place where I had never been myself, a place called community. If I wanted to do community related work with integrity, I needed a deeper intercession of community than I had experienced to that point. Our experience is consistently changing us. You know, Parker Palmer's delving into this idea that the collective, the community changes us. And when we're not really aligned with our own collective within, with our life experience, then we're not able to touch in to a deeper witness of consciousness. So this is such a great read. So I highly recommend him. He's been one of the most compelling theologians for me through the last 3.5 years. As many of you know, I'm graduating in a couple weeks. I've been delving into my books, writing my ministry paper. And as I write and as I move forward, hello, Ali. Hello, Rais. As I move forward, hello, Yassine. I'm moving into this new place. So I thought I'd share a little bit of who's touched me as theologians, but also some of the earlier players in my life that have touched. This is a good friend from Ithaca, New York, and he wrote a book, Sacred Commerce, Business Path of Awakening. And I touched this today with, I was working on my paper, and it's about the holy and the mundane. You know, we experience this spiritual life within us, you know, this holiness, this gift within prayer and meditation and, you know, the joys that we move forward. And then we practice this mundane life, get the dishes done, feed the children, get the job done, make the money, you know. And as a mother for years, spiritually, I am watching myself, you know, to this amazing journey of theology, right? And theology just keeps you into this holy place, this really deep, rich study. So sacred commerce has been what I've been thinking about a lot lately. And he talks about the 4 insights. We have discovered spiritual insights that source and support our business. These constitute an important foundation that guides our growth and choices. Create a sacred place, be the space for all of it, be in the game, and be an invitation. And it just so aligned. When I read this today, I was like, wow, this is so cool, Matthew. He raised kids with my kids in a Waldorf school. I mean, gosh, 30 years ago, you know. when I think Adam was in fourth grade, and Brianna was in second grade. Yeah, I mean, it was a long time ago that we were dancing, but he had a restaurant here called Gratitude. And he opened up this restaurant and he wrote this book after that. And Cafe Gratitude is a place where you'd go in and you'd pick up something on the menu, but the menu would have something like, you're going to order compassion. And it would be something really nurturing to your own heart and soul. So there was like this relationship, such powerful relationships to, what you would make, what you would actually ideally create for yourself, from a place that would like spark you, like order an enthusiasm drink. That's what he would do. The place was amazing. The place was amazing. They made I think it's still running. There were many of them. And he tried to do, again, something that a lot of people don't do, is try to build a business that's got a sacred quality to it. And it's not easy, as many of you know. I stand in that all the time. I stand in this relationship between the holy and the mundane, and how do you do business, and how do you create business, and how do you understand business, and how do you, move business in a precious way, in a holy way, in a sacred way. So he's touched me a lot in the sacred commerce. So I'm writing about that, about organizational ministry and what you do in the name of, relatedness. How do we relate? How do we bring ourselves forward? And so in this last couple weeks, I'm writing a paper. It's due on Friday. I presented today in class, which was great. And as I presented, it kind of came forward, and I was like, wow, it's really about this idea of how much we're inspired by community that moves us into something. And it can be inspired by just the COVID. How did we get inspired to do something different because of COVID? Or how did we get inspired to go feed the homeless during COVID? Or, there's something about the holy within everything that's chaos within the earth. And it's really comes back to that idea of rest and movement. Rest and movement. It comes back to this idea of identifying the unifying principle within all things, because it's here. It's just here. It's like whatever we do. I then went to this wonderful theologian, John Donahue. And he's an amazing theologian. John Donahue, he was the author, one of my early authors of Anam Cara. Highly recommend Anam Cara to read. It's just an amazing book that I think you'll really love. And it's something that you can really, really touch base with in a really deep way. I think you'll get inspired by it. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Zorais. Nice to see you. How are you feeling now? I'm not sure which one you did. I'm okay. I had another COVID test today. And I did it for two reasons. For one, I was still having a cough, and you can hear it in my voice. And I had a conversation with my doctor on Thursday or Wednesday, and we decided, let's go to the respiratory clinic to just rule out anything. So I did. It's just good to know, what is going on. I'll be glad when the immunity test will be in. But anyway, let's get back to John Donahue. He is a theologian. I'm speaking about theology tonight a little bit because you guys are in my last week of getting my degree. Like I graduate May 22nd. I've got a couple more papers to do. I've got to present tomorrow. I presented today. I've got to present tomorrow. It's just been the journey of like finishing up this degree in the midst of getting well at the same time, right? Physically. And you know, you've caught me at a time where there's a lot of emotion in my personal family. There's a lot of emotion happening. You know, there's always something happening in Mama Lynn's life. You know, there's just like always. It's having 5 children, it happens, you know, just like life is happening. Hi, Nor. Nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Great to see you. I think, you know, you start going through theology and theologians, and it's a blast. I'm telling you, it's really a fun study. It's such magic. So let's read a little bit out of Beauty. The irreversible embrace of beauty, rediscovering the true sources of compassion, serenity, and hope. I mean, this is a classic if you want to learn a little bit. So what did I open up to? I'll read what I opened up to. I arise today through strength in the sky, light of sun, moon's reflections, dazzle of fire, speed of lightning, solid wind, deep sea, firm earth, hard rock. I rise today with God's strength to pilot me, God's might to uphold me, God's wisdom to guide me, God's eye to look ahead of me, God's ear to hear me, God's word to speak for me, God's hand to defend me, God's way to lie before me, God's shield to protect me, God's, God's host to transfigure me. I mean, amazing, right? That's like so beautiful. It's that formation that we each have in this richness of life, in this richness of the presence that I see so much of us a part of every day. This grace that happens, this mountain of motion from all different types of amazing things that happen to us. And they happen to us through experience. They happen to us through the witness. All right, who else? This is Walter Brueggemann. Brueggemann. It's late and I'm like, shouldn't be doing all this, but I felt like I wanted to come on and just say hi for a minute and tell you what I'm up to. Thank you. So what was I writing here? I was writing a little bit about distinguishing the 5 elements of hope literature in the Old Testament. Not all of equal power or significance. This catalog suggests how pervasive. And he talks about living toward a vision. Grief in the midst of a technique was the name of this chapter. And I was just like, what? Grief in the midst of technique? There we are. You know, we're all grieving through this time. We're all grieving through the COVID. You know, he talks about all the different ideas of wrath and to explore traditions of hope. As I judge, it is very odd phenomena, a problem in the Western tradition that a great resonance for our present cultural situation. The dominant intellectual tradition of the West, that of Hellenistic philosophy, out of which has come from the ground of reasonableness for science, is not a tradition of hope. It is a tradition of order, which seeks to discern, understand, decipher, know, and it's possible, master and control it. Isn't it true that we try to control everything through science? I mean, this guy, if you read this, you know, he probably wrote this. I'm trying to think what year was this written. I mean, it's amazing what if you can relate it. 1987. That's the gift of theology. It kind of lasts. It lasts in the midst of our lives. It lasts and it holds us and it brings us into this mountain of time. Thank you. I'm good, Nor. I'm really good. Thanks, Zoraz. He said, go on. All right, let's see what else I'm reading. Of course, I'm reading Into Faith, and I'm reading some of the Dalai Lama. And this book I read a couple years ago, For the Benefit of All Beings. I have a couple of amazing professors here. Wendy Farley, her dad was a theologian. She comes out of Emerson, a really amazing college. She's written quite a few books herself, and I really have been blessed to have her here as one of my professors. She brought us into a lot of the work with the Dalai Lama, and I've touched base with the Dalai Lama. I saw him in Ithaca, New York. There were a tremendous amount of work that we did with Tibet when it was getting. Oh, strawberries! Can I have a strawberry? Thank you. Yummy strawberries. I'm gonna eat it in a minute. My daughter got strawberries. So anyway, so I got this book out today when I was presenting, and I didn't really use any of them, but I was reading them before I was presenting, so it would give me a click into this 3.5 years, because this paper that I'm writing is the culmination of our own ministry. So we're creating something from ministry that is about our own personal ministry. Hi, Sam Dosa. Gosh, I haven't seen you in a while. Sam is somebody that I did some good Ramadan work. So when I think about finishing up this degree, I've worked really hard for it. I worked 3.5 years. I already have a master's. In 2011, I graduated with a master's. And during my first master's, I was finishing my bachelor's at the same time. I was taking like 18 credits, at one point, to finish my bachelor's and finish my first semester in seminary. So it was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? So it took quite a while. I think it took longer than that, now that I think about it. Yeah, it was about 1.5 years. I was just doing both degrees, and then kind of like finished that. It was on sustainability in the 21st century. So I did a tremendous amount of work about kind of what the torch is right now, a circle approach. And as I transfigure like the resonance of where I want to go with what is happening, one of the questions this week that's come up a lot for me after writing is this questioning of how do you share leadership in a time when people still want to grab on and control it? And it's really the control of the Western model. And that's what, Brueggemann was saying, that we want to control it. We want to figure it out. We want to understand it. We want to get a hold of it. And I need to do it my way, and I have to do it that way, and I have to do it. This is our problem. It really is. Every single one of us, because we grew up in this culture of control. So when I think about Dalai Lama, this book, For the Benefit of All Beings, you step into an offering. And I love this. He says, I offer every fruit and flower, every kind of healing draught, and all the precious gems of the world contains, with all pure waters of refreshment. So I spoke about that today when I presented, because I felt like that's it right there. What water of presence, what water of resonance, like where will you nourish the community that you're in? How will you nourish the community that you're in? How will you continue to let the water flow no matter where it goes? And it's so powerful to not hang on to business in a way that we've done business, because business doesn't work. We already know that. The world that we have right now doesn't work. And as I'm part of a few organizations. I'm part of Women for Women International. I'm part of a lot of Native American groups. I'm part of, a lot of different ideas. I'm in a women's organization that we run with 18 of us today. And how powerful women can gather. And so I had already started this idea many weeks ago, and I had gotten, the Women Entrepreneur Show together. And I really believe that women can do what we need to do. But if we try to follow a model that is from the masculine, the patriarchal type relationship, I think you're going to find out that this type of relatedness, this type of idea, this type of trying to cling on to something is going to really affect you. And I wrote a poem tonight. It says, "There I was, truth's love biding time beckoned me. There I was, upon the steep curve, only light appeared. There I was, flooded with nothing, only hearing love. There I was, fleshly matters of the mind, only subtle standing with God, only subtly standing with God." You know, I sometimes go back and I read a poem that I wrote and I don't know where it's coming from. And it comes from the deep within the mystery of, each of us when we write poetry or we get creative or we stand for ourselves. I wrote another one that I really loved, and it was about the groundedness and the roots that each of us need and the roots of the community that we need. And when you're manifesting something like a shared leadership platform and you get the human mind in, how do you stand with the depth that we each need without clinging on to just, it's my world? And it's so fun to be able to open to that and let that water flow. So here's the next one that I wrote. I'm hoping this is still going on. I think it is, right? Can anybody give me a thumbs up? I'm not getting any more feeds here. I'm wondering if it's shutting off. No, it's still going. Yeah, I think it's still going. Anyway, so here's the next one. I'll read it to you. It says, it's a tree, and it was in the 15th, no, it would have been the 17th century. 16th century. 16th. It was a tree of Jesus, and it was for me, this time of year around Pentecost, and I've been practicing Ramadan with my brothers and sisters, I start thinking about what it means spiritually to host the image of the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit for me is rich in its idea of all people. So this picture, it's on my page. You can see it a few down. Jesus is sitting here, and he's got his fingers pointed, which I always think like it's what we do sometimes. You'll see like people do this a lot. It's a gesture. And if you were in the old traditions, you'd probably know what some of those gestures are. And I've studied that in the past with Hindu tradition. But let's look at what this came forward tonight. It said, "Needed the tree. I surely needed the branches. I needed the ones that stand in the holy, and the witness of grounded roots that stand by my practices of the heart." I'm going to read it again. Needed the tree. I surely need the branches. I need the ones that stand in the holy, the witness of grounded roots that stand by my practices of heart. Blessed be those that came before me, rest on the bosom of my soul, gifted upon the plagues of the earth, delusions that quench, some desire not for thine eyes to judge, desire nothing but root heart with the holy, standing in the feeding of the strong and sturdy love for all that stand. Human desires of longing for light, may I see the shadows upon the bosom of this tree, glimmers that shine, the new leaf. Human desires of longing for light. May I see the shadows upon the bosom of this tree, glimmers that shine the new leaf. You know, we walk on and we move through these layers of life, and we move through the layers of holding ourselves up in the midst of chaos around us, and we move in the moments of delusions and people delusioned. We think they're delusioned, they think we're delusioned, we all think that. You know, it's going on and on and on and on. And where do you stand but the nothingness? Really, we can't stand anything except the nothingness. We have to stand in the emptiness of our soul. Because if you can come back to that place where God's part of that. I got into some amazing art tonight. I got into amazing places of art. One of the other books that really touched me was Holy Listening. This was part of my spiritual direction. I'm hoping to finish spiritual direction next year. Probably it'll take 2 years. I won't finish it. But spiritual direction I practiced with one of my students for quite a while. He's in India right now. He's writing his thesis. And he's a really cool guy. Love him dearly. And spiritual direction for us was really magical. He was quite a mystical thinker. He had a lot of mystic in him. He still is. He's writing his book on some really powerful ideas of, I wouldn't know exactly. I shouldn't say what he's writing, but he's writing some really cool things. I don't know his actual thesis, but he's in the midst of writing, and he's in India, and he got quarantined, and he got, there was all this Indian uproar of, just a lot of chaos in India. And he was writing stories about that. I'm good, Hamza. I'm still kind of sick. Nice to see you. I've still got sickness happening. I'm still moving through it. I'm still home, not working as a nurse yet, but I'll get there. The throat is the throat. I've got another sore throat. I just keep going in and out of whatever this is, and it's been really a pain in the where. So I'm reading out of a few theology books because I'm graduating. And I'm proud of myself, but it's really a lot of work right now. So please pray for me. So it's a lot of work. My couch is filled with books. Like every single thing around me is books and books and books and books. Because I'm writing like 3 different papers, and I'll get bored with one, and then I'll go and write another one, and then I'll work on something else. Like I have a paper due at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, and I have to get up early. So I should be going to sleep, but I was so wired from the day. And, I just had to get on and just share what I'm up to, because theology is awesome. And I think it's just such a great study. One of my goals is to come to Pakistan and study theology there. And so I'm asking people in Pakistan to give me some references. Yeah, I'll get well. Thank you so much. Oh, you're from Mr. Usman's team. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. Love seeing you. Thank you. Yeah, it's a big deal that I'm graduating, right? It's a big deal. It's kind of it's May 22nd is my graduation. We're not having a physical one. It's going to be a mute, online. You guys could all come. Why don't you come to my graduation? That would be cool. I would love you to come. I'll give you the time. That would be really fun for me. Yeah, thank you, Hamza. Hamza, you were a great, great support for me. And I just appreciate that. And I'm totally want to connect with you. So let's connect for sure. I've got pictures of us. And it's so sweet. It's so sweet. You're such an amazing young man. Thank you. I appreciate you being here. I see the names, and then I can't quite see your picture, but I totally know who you are now. It's so fun that you're sitting here with Mama Lynn. So as I finish my theology paper, I'm sharing what I'm writing out of. So this book, Holy Listening, The Art of Spiritual Direction. Spiritual direction is kind of being a spiritual guide, and that's what I'll have a certificate as part of my degree. My concentration is spirituality, peace, And thank you, Zafran. Chechi, we definitely, yeah, I'm sharing because I graduate in a couple weeks. So thank you. I'm sharing about writing because this is what I'm writing, all these books around me. So I wanted to get on because I wanted to tell you how cool theology was. Theology is awesome, and it's made me really, I just could keep going. My professors, a couple of them want me to do the Doctor of Ministry. Like, what do you think? More. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I know. It is a treat to graduate, but it's at the same time, like, I love studying this. It's just my passion. You have your passion, and business isn't my passion. I somehow have warranted this amazing platform called the Torch, and it's really my theological quest of peace, health, environment, and technology, right? And how do we bring those four things together? How do we bring them? Like, and it was my idea, and it blossoms. It's amazing what happens with the Torch. It's amazing. So here we go. So let's read out of this one. What did I pick today? She's an amazing writer. Margaret Gunther. Let's see, she gave a gift, but yeah, this is an amazing book. Let me think what I was writing. Oh, this was what I was writing about. It's in Isaiah. It's in the Old Testament, and it's about, can a woman forget her nursing child or show no compassion for the child of her womb? Even these may forget, yet I will not forget you. See, I have inscribed you on the palms of my hands. Woo! Isn't that hot? It's so great, right? It's such a great statement. Can a woman forget her nursing child? And what she says is, there's an image of immanence with God in each of us. Like, there's an immanence, like the mystery of a child, the mystery of being a mother, the mystery of having a baby in my womb. I mean, it's just a mystery, right? It's a mystery of a man. I've watched my sons, my son, and, watching his wife give birth. And I mean, it's an experience. I just got to be there for my fourth grandchild in their birth. And it's an amazing gift to see that. Hi, Miriam. Nice to see you. I just talked to Miriam. I asked her to lead a program for women entrepreneurs, so I'm hoping she will. But it's just about, I wrote about this today because about the mundane, the holy and the mundane is the immanence of God is always in the mundane. Like the presence is always amongst us. It's just if we're opening ourselves to see it, right? So I wrote out of that book today, or I presented. I had to present today in my class for my ministry paper. So I think I did good. We had 15 minutes. It's not very long. It's not like a thesis of, like a PhD, which I really kind of want to do. I have like a little bit of like PhD in Mama Lynn. I want to do a PhD. My one friend from back east, we lived in her house. Actually, we lived in the house. Have you ever heard of Dear Abby? Dear Abby wrote a column in the newspapers all over the United States, and she made it even into many papers around the world. Dear Abby. And people would ask her questions. Well, we actually lived in the house where Dear Abby was. Her predecessor, that her name is, it's still called Dear Abby, but it might be Dear Annie. Anyway, her predecessor, Dear Abby's predecessor, was born in the house that I bought in Freeville, New York. I miss that house. Okay, this is a cool book that I read. Actually, I pulled this out from my master's that I graduated in 2011. And it's Water, Wind, Earth, and Fire. And it's about praying with the elements. And it's about a book of looking at the Christian practice through the elements. And it's an amazing book. And I loved it because I was so, my first master's was all about sustainability. And I did bring in a piece of that today because the earth is very present for me in my work. I don't believe we have any greater witness than the presence of God. So I didn't really pull something out of here yet. I don't think I used it in my presentation, but I pulled it out because I wanted it in my paper. My paper's due on Friday. Lot to do. All right, who else is here? The Quran is here. Here it is. So I'm definitely going to pull a couple of these because of my interfaith work with all of you and in solidarity with humanity. It was a big part of my paper about interfaith, and I definitely favorite was Yogananda. And Yogananda really touched my soul. He really brought me forward in a way that I love Yogananda. Yogananda wrote a lot in the early years of my spiritual practice. I would say in the 20s, I felt like I got into artwork, and I was like, that's why I'm so wired. I'm like, oh my gosh, this artwork is a phenomenon. Like I was getting into these ancient, they weren't really ancient, but they were sure ancient to me. They looked like ancient, amazing artists, and I got so inspired to do art. So some of my summer and healing from just doing so much intensity for a degree is about artwork. And if I stay put and do my doctorate here, there's a temptation. I'm applying. I don't know if I'll get in. 3 professors said yes, definitely. So we'll see. I have to have 3 recommendations. So my GPA is not great. We had a death in the family. I had a pretty big illness during my seminary degree. So, there's just things that happen. And I'm a mom of 5 kids, and things happen. And so, I'm not your A student or 4.0 student. I'm just a mom. And, I talk to my, there's a pastor in my life that I'm under care. Excuse me. I'm under care in the Presbytery Church to be Reverend Chittick. And if I get to Reverend Chittick, it'll be God's grace because I have no idea what God wants of me. I just wait and I listen and I wait and I listen and I wait and I listen. We got to listen. We got to listen, right, to your path, because your path is more important than anybody's. And it's what you do with your path and how passionate you are in life and how passionate you can be in your passion, right? This is what wakes us up every day and says yes. And theology for me is what I love. I love it. So I think my doctorate of ministry would be really cool to have. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's a lot less school, but it's more writing about what I really want to write about, and that's really about what I'm doing. You know, for the 4 pillars of the torch, it's really a deep passion of mine. Like, I've been questioning peace since I was a little girl, and I wrote songs about peace. I'm all about it. Like, okay, how do you become peaceful? It's really about a practice now. For me, it's about practice. If I'm going to become peaceful, I got to do a heck of a lot more practice. Then I can have a peaceful day. And it's just always going up and down because of life circumstances. And so then you've got to look at your environment and look at, what does the environment mean in our lives? What does it bring forward? And so I've got little sacred altars all over my house to remind me of that environment of the holy, you know. And my environment right now, after being sick for 6 weeks, is not great, but it's not horrible, but it needs some love. And I'm not going to do anything until I get these papers done. So it's just going to be this way. It's always been this way, right around, you know, graduation. It's just like, okay, the dishes go, the clothes go, the laundry goes, and it's just about getting the job done, getting my papers done and graduating. So it's a big semester for me. I've got a lot up right now. There's 3 things that need to get done this week. And by Friday, I have 3 papers. And I already did a project today. So I'm moving and grooving and doing it, moving and grooving. And I listen to music in between. And I've been listening to this amazing quarantine music that has been a blast. So that's been my week. And let's see what else. Of course, one of my favorites is Poverty and Joy by my Franciscan brother. He was my professor, Bill Short. He is a great professor. I totally want to go take some classes with him or go do a retreat with him. You know, he's the top scholar in Franciscan tradition. My first degree, this book and my other book that I pulled out were from my first degree, my first master's. The Franciscan tradition, there's such a deep, deep, rich knowing of a rule of life. Francis knew the earth, and he's the saint of ecology and the earth. Of course, that's my alignment with him because I'm Native American and I really love the earth. And if we can look at the earth in the way of the sacred or the holy, we can also look at the earth of the death of the earth. There's, you know, I go in the woods and you see the death of a tree and it rekindles the earth. And so there's this ever knowing of this growth around us. Like death becomes new life. New life becomes death. You know, it's a circle. And it's not easy in all of our lives. And it's a powerful thing to be able to have um, the grace within our lives and how much it enriches us, right? How much it encourages us to go on, you know, go on through COVID, through all this intensity that we're living in. Um, you know, just that presence of God that you know what people are doing. You guys, everybody's doing this amazing thing, you know, like getting through it for one. But what's coming up out of it is just, it's a blossom of love. I'm telling you, it's intense. That the US had 1 million cases, I'm kind of shocked. 64,000 deaths as of yesterday, maybe. Um, yeah, yeah. And I was really sick, and I've been really sick. And I don't know if it's COVID. You know, my acupuncture seems to think you've got COVID. And my kitten is getting on my couch and being a munchkin. Go on. You're not going to scratch. She's really something. And this was a huge book. Oh, here's my favorite little book by Yogananda. I want to read out of that one in a minute. But this one, Eating Your Way Through Luke's Gospel. Luke is like the Quran. Luke's Gospel has a lot about food. And I kind of want to link that up to some of my work in the Quran. I listened to lectures about Islam back in my first semester. My second, it was probably my second semester, 2010. I came in the fall of 2009 to finish my first master's in 2011. And I got to go and listen to the guy that started the first school, the first Muslim college here in America. And I did not know it was the first Muslim college until Rayhan came and visited me and came over here, stayed at my house, invited me to go down to this dinner. And I didn't know what he was bringing me to. He said, no, you got to come. And I said, okay. So I went with him and his son, and we had already been hanging and having fun. And, you know, we had a great time. And sure enough, there's this moment of like, I step in, and the guy that was in my college 10 years earlier, it was their 10-year anniversary for the Muslim college. So Rayhan and I keep getting into these circles. Like, it's very interesting. It's like this karmic circle that we're in. I have another story. You know, like I show up at this dinner. It's a 10-year anniversary. And here 10 years ago in my seminary, I was listening to that guy write some of this first, you know, scriptures in Christian. You know, we were at the Episcopal Church, like the GTU, the Graduate Theological Union that I'm part of, this consortium of 11 schools. It has a Jewish school, a Christian school, a Buddhist school, a Hindu school. I mean, you name it, we've got it. And it's magical because there's lectures from all traditions. And it's like people from all over the world and people doing theology, like we love it. There's something about this love of theology and amazing scholars. So I actually went to the school just about 2 months ago and I said, I kind of want to come. And they said, why don't you apply? And so I could stay at the Islam school here, the Muslim school, Zaytuna. And I might do it. I said I'd be your first Christian woman entering, and they said, yeah, you would. So it'd be kind of funny if I got into that school with all my contacts. I think I might be able to get some references. What do you think? I don't know, but it would be kind of fun. And a couple of my friends want to come over and study theology over here, which would be so fun. And so we'll see. But I want to go to Pakistan as well and study there, and I want to learn Urdu. So there's a lot that I want to learn and understand and create and have fun with. But if you start looking at, what is theology, and the circle of life comes up for me, the circle of life. And it's totally about like this presence of how we are entertaining our lives. Thank you. Hello, Atta. Yeah, nice to see you. Hello, Kap Atta Ula. Nice to see you. I don't know you well. I know Atik. I haven't seen you in a long time, dear. Good to see you. And there was another story. I was thinking of it today, actually, with Rehan. I was telling my daughter about it. I was telling her about Pakistan, and this is the other book which I actually read out of last night, One Peaceful World by Michio and Aveline Kushi. I would say Michio and Aveline, but Michio's really did this book. And this was the first book I read in my 20s. And I started working for One Peaceful World organization with Alex Jack, the man that wrote this book. And I was doing a tremendous amount of like journeying through those early years. And I got to meet a man that Michio brought probably 10 years after I knew him. Yeah, it was like 10 years. And his name was Gary. And Gary actually started the World Citizenship. And the World Citizenship Passport, Michio and Aveline, they both came to America at 2 different times. They both were inspired by Gary because Gary had been put in jail all over the world. And so his idea of the world citizenship, my cat is just racing around the house being kind of crazy. She's a kitten. She gets wild. But anyway, this man, Gary, he looked like Benjamin Franklin. He had the big beard and the long hair. He had it back in a ponytail, and he's just amazing. And it just really touched this idea of how much passion they had. And he was coming for Thanksgiving, and I was going to get to meet him. I'd heard about him probably for 5 years because they would always say, like, this is the man why we came to America. We came to meet him. And I was like, okay, if they wanted to meet him, I sure as heck want to meet him. And so I'm meeting him, and we had this amazing, it was just a fun dinner, and we got to hear his lectures about the world citizenship. And he was put in jail all over the world he gave up his passport of the United States, and he became a world citizen, and he became a world passport he built. Okay, so world citizenship, world passport. Okay, so I'm in this dinner. This is back, 97. Now, how many years ago was that, guys? No, earlier than that. 95. Yeah. So I'm in this dinner. I go on with my life. I meet Rehan Alawala. And I'm telling Rehan, he's got to hear about this because we're talking about passports and how hard it is. Because I'm trying to get my team to come to United States. Haji Khan Faroch and Taqwa Ahmed. And, there were 5 people and the kids, Sameen, Abdullah Sameen, and Hamad Safi, they were all going to come 3 years ago, 3 summers ago, 2018. We were trying to, and the passports, there's no way we could have got passports. So it was just so sad for me that people were stuck, and I got back to the World Passport, and I said to Rayhan, you've got to meet this guy. You've got to talk to this guy. You know, and he died, and I know he died, Rayhan, but you got to find out what the World Passport is. All of a sudden, Rayhan takes the little book and he puts it up and he says, is this it? And he said, I just got it in the mail 2 days ago or something like that. I mean, I was just like, what? He said, I'm part of the organization. My lawyer, I hired the lawyer to keep this organization going after Gary died. I was like, what is going on here? What's going on here? Like, how did that happen? That's God. That's theology. That's the mystery. That's the fun. That's the joy. So I'm going to let you go, but I'm going to read one more thing out of my favorite little book. Oh, I just took out the page that I was going to read to you today, that I was going to do my paper on. It's okay. Everything in here is so fun. This is good. This is good. So this is from Paramahansa Yogananda. He's one of my great spiritual masters. He wrote the book, I Am a Yogi, and I read it in my early 20s. I was doing yoga at the age of 17, and just I had a friend that visited, and she taught me yoga, and I was doing sun salutations at a very young age, and I went on to teach the largest yoga center in America, Kripalu Yoga Center in Natural Cuisine, years later, and I got to meet some amazing yogis. And anyway, that's another story of Mama Lynn. Here it is, creative activity. So I'm going to leave you with this tonight. This is our last little reading. And I just went through like what's happening to Mama Lynn this week. I'm reading theology because it's my last week of writing a heck of a lot of papers. I probably will have something next week to do too. But I'm just telling you that I'm in the throes of theology right now to get everything done and graduate. Mama Lynn's graduating. All right, here we go. Ready? Creative activity. I will use my creative thinking ability to gain success in every worthwhile prospect that I undertake. God will help me if I also try to help myself. I have buried dead disappointments in the centuries of yesterday. In the cemeteries of yesterday. I'm going to read that again. I have buried dead disappointments in the cemeteries of yesterday. Today I will plow the garden of life with my new creative efforts. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Today I will plow the garden of life with my new creative efforts. Therein I will sow seeds of wisdom, health, prosperity, and happiness. I will water them with self-confidence and faith. Isn't this awesome? If I reap not the harvest, I will be thankful. For I will thank God that I am able to try again and again and again until, with His help, I do succeed. I will thank Him when I have succeeded in fulfilling my heart's worthy desire. Isn't he lovely? Isn't he an amazing theologian? I mean, look at that. I have to read it one more time. I can't not read it one more time. Creative activity. I will use my creative thinking ability to gain success in every worthwhile project that I undertake. God will help me if I also try to help myself. I have buried dead disappointments in the cemeteries of yesterday. Today I will plow the garden of life with my new creative efforts. Therein I will sow seeds of wisdom, of health, of prosperity, and happiness. I will water them with self-confidence and faith, and will wait for the divine to give me the rightful harvest. If I reap not the harvest, I will be thankful for the satisfaction of having tried my best. I will thank God that I am able to try again and again and again until, with His help, I do succeed. I will thank Him when I have succeeded in fulfilling my heart's worthy desire. Amen. So you got a little taste of my writings and my teachings and what I did for my ministry paper. And I have to tell you my funny story because it's always in the back of my mind. This is one of my favorites. Da, 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 da. Einstein. So I'm definitely going to put him in my ministry. Einstein and I go back. For one, Michio went to Einstein and said, "What do you think about world peace?" And Einstein said, "I really, I don't get it. The life and the universe, this book, The Life and Universe, his universe, I should say, his life and universe." Einstein, I got to work with cancer patients, and I got to take people with salivary cancer. There's a woman, not people, one person I took. I get going in my language and I have to step back because I get excited. One person I took to Fermilab. Fermi is where the bomb got, the nuclear bomb that Einstein created at the Fermilab. So I take her in, and this is a deep theological study. I'm hired for 7 weeks because she's got to fly back and forth. So I fly to Chicago with her because I've been taking care of patients. People knew me for my work back, when I did a lot of work for many years. But anyway, this particular work was very precious, and I was so excited. And she was a teacher at Juilliard, the music, and so I was so excited to spend time with her. And she didn't really need to take neutron therapy. That's what it was called. But there's a synchrotron, and I don't know if you know about synchrotrons, but they're a 2-mile radius. They go 2 miles around. It's a circle, and it's deep into the earth, and it's where there's 3 synchrotrons in America. There's one in Berkeley, up in the tower, where I live pretty much now. There's a synchrotron. There's one in Ithaca, New York, and there's one at Fermilab. And there are machines that make matter. They're pretty profound. I have a good friend, John, that runs the one at Cornell University, and he's a genius. He's a physics major, a professor, PhD, and they say he's like the best one to run this machine, like in the world. Like he's just and he's a character. I wonder where he is. I love this man. I did a lot of music with him, and he's an amazing soul. Anyway, so I get to Fermilab, and here I find out that this is, what she's got to do. She's got to go in a room, and it's probably like a 14 by 14 room. And in the middle of the room is like a little electrical chair. You know how they they kill people with the electric chair? That's what it looked like. I'm not kidding. It looked just like that. And it was like so intense. I was like, what are they doing? And they were teaching her what she had to do because she had to be in this room by herself. And here I am. I'm her nurse. I wasn't a nurse yet, but I was her nurse taking care of her. I got hired to go with her every week to Fermilab. And I'd fly in the plane to go to Chicago. We'd stay at a hotel, and every day she had to go in for neutron therapy, which was this machine that was going around. And what we walked in, where we went for this room that she sat in, with these huge silos of machines. I mean, it was so noisy and it was so intense. And I'm like, what are we doing with a cancer patient going in here? I'm teaching them about meditation. I'm teaching them about good food. I'm teaching them about good spirit. I'm teaching them about good things. And here I am in this amazing place called Fermilab, and I didn't know what I was getting into. I had no idea what I was getting into. I'm here at the place with a nuclear bomb. I'd been studying one peaceful world for years. What am I doing here? How did I get here, God? Well, the story goes, this is my story here. The story goes is she gets in the electrical chair. The room actually goes down into the earth, And she had to go down into the earth all by herself, and she gets strapped in. Her arms are strapped, her legs are strapped, everything's strapped. She's strapped into a chair, and the whole room moves down into the earth. And the synchrotron goes around, and the neutron therapy, her salivary cancer was this big, she had already had it operated on. And we did a lot of healing. I learned a lot of different techniques. But when she goes down into the earth, as the matter machine comes around, it hits the exact, the radiation hits the exact cancer cells. And so you're going into the exact place where regular radiation goes into the whole body. That's why people lose their hair and everything when you have cancer treatments. But neutron therapy is a whole different thing. But she got really sick from this neutron therapy. And so it was about the 5th day in, and we got back the next week, and she didn't want any more of my food. Here I was to cook for her. I was supposed to be cooking natural foods for her for 6 weeks, and she didn't want anything. And I said to myself, it was probably right around then that I found out this is where the nuclear bomb was made. And I was kind of freaked out about that. I was kind of like, whoa, what are you talking about? I'm in the place where the nuclear bomb was manifested. The Fermi Lab in Chicago was there. And so Einstein and I had to become one, because I have this life where if I'm afraid of something, I have to go towards it. I don't have to go away from it. I have to go towards it. Right now, I've got a really big situation that I have to go towards, and it's not going to be easy, but I'm going to go towards it. But Einstein, this guy right here, one of the great masters, he built this bomb, and I decided I was going to start reading Einstein. So every day I'd go to the library, she'd be in her neutron therapy, then she'd go to bed, and I was teaching. Here she is. She was a Jewish woman, practicing Jewish, but not really. She wasn't really religious, but I brought her medallions. I did anything I could to keep her happy through those 6 weeks, 7 weeks that I was there. But it was powerful. And I really got into this guy. I really got into this guy's work. And I really read some significant documents because I had to understand. And I didn't have much else to do. So I sat around for 7 weeks reading Einstein's works. And it was really fascinating to me because I had done a lot of spiritual practice before this. I had gotten this job. I had done work for One Peaceful World. I had done, natural food cooking for thousands of people by then. And it was just an amazing, fascinating job. And my curiosity built. And it's probably one of the reasons I came to theology school in the first place, because I'm curious, right? I'm a curious person. What are these scriptures? What are these writings? Why do people call them holy books? And you demystify yourself by going to theology school. It's not mystery anymore. It's you demystify the understanding of theology, but you also grow like so much about theology is just this amazing study. That's all I can say. So Einstein's on my corner of a theologian. I call him a theologist, a theologian that touched the world in a huge way. And he's in his grave right now because he killed a hell of a lot of people with his bomb, not knowingly. But you look at, the gift of Michio going to see him, and in Japan where the bomb was, Hiroshima happened, there's many stories of macrobiotics and seaweed helping many, many people. And not getting radiation. So I think it's one of the unique intertwining of my work as well. And one of those other mystery meetings, going to Einstein's place of the bomb. How could I get there? Oh my gosh. All right. Well, that's enough out of me. It's time for bed. It's time for me to go to bed, wake up, and start writing again. Because I got to finish these papers or I won't graduate. So please pray for me. It's fun to share theology with you. I don't do this very often with you. I've shared a lot of stories with you, but I haven't shared theology. So thank you for listening. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for being part of my papers. getting me out of myself. Um, it's really fun. I've got Bibles and commentaries. This is the women's commentary. It's about women describing what their thoughts are about the Bible. Um, what did women say about the biblical scripture? What did women theologians think about different theologies? So tomorrow morning's paper is about this, on one of the scripture writings that I picked, and reading other commentaries and then intermingling them. Since COVID happened, my professors are much more lenient. I have to be honest. It's not as much work as it was before COVID, because classrooms all canceled, and the professors are having just as much. Their time is really squandered, just like ours, just from all of the news. But it sure has been a really amazing couple weeks of diving back into my favorite things, like writing a paper that is about my ministry. And it's been super fun. So that's me. That's Mama Lynn. So theology, theology, theology. You get to see a piece of it as I move into this last couple weeks before I graduate. I'm excited and I'm scared. And am I going to do it? Am I going to get it done? I'm going to get it done. I already got one done, one paper done. So I have 5 more to go. I got one project done today. 5 more papers. Like, seriously, I can do this. And tomorrow night I have another whole thing that I'm supposed to do. Like, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know. It's kind of too much. Too much, too much, too much. So, but I can do it because we do things that sometimes we don't think that we can do, right? And you step in and you motivate and you get inspired by community and collective and creativity, and that's what we do. So anyway, thanks for coming. Thanks for enjoying my theology time and listening to my theological quest of life tonight. And we'll talk soon. We'll talk soon. It's just it's amazing that I'm coming online, staying up, having to say, my Facebook friends, I need you. I need the root. I need that beautiful root. What was my poem that I wrote tonight? There I was. Truth's love, biding time beckoned me. There I was. Upon the steep curve, only light appeared. There I was, flooded with nothing, only hearing love. There I was, fleshly matters of the mind, only subtly standing with God. And then I wrote another one, and I'll leave you with my poems I wrote just tonight. Needed the tree. I surely need the branches. I need the ones that stand in the holy, the witness of grounded roots that stand by my practices of heart. Blessed be those that came before me, rest on the bosom of my soul, gifted upon the plagues of the earth, delusions that quench. Some desire not for thine eyes to judge. Desire nothing but root the heart with the holy, standing in the feeding of strong and sturdy love for all that stand. Human desires of longing for light. May I see the shadows upon the bosom of this tree, glimmers that shine the new leaf, excuse me. I'll say that last one. Human desires of longing for light. May I see the shadows upon the bosom of this tree, glimmers that shine the new leaf. So may we find a new leaf. Thank you, Miriam. I need your help and support. Okay? Let's go. Blessings. Have a beautiful night. Those are 2 I wrote tonight. Just, I write pretty quickly poetry. It's kind of one of the other gifts I feel like it's kind of easy for me to write. I don't know why. It just comes. God is good. Just to open the door to you, and it happens. Put out your greatest desires to be you, and then you'll let it shine. So have fun today, tonight. Go to sleep. If you're on the East Coast, you're way past your bedtime. If you're on the West Coast, it's past midnight. Go to sleep. Linny, go to sleep. Peace and best. Have a fun night. Wish me well tomorrow. It's a big day of theology. Mama Lynn, have fun. God bless you all. Take care.